You wake up one morning and something feels off. Not pain, just less energy, less drive. Maybe your thoughts feel slower. Maybe your walk feels heavier. At first, you tell yourself it's just aging. But what if I told you the real problem isn't age? It's depletion. 3 essential vitamins control how you circulate blood, manage your energy, and feel like yourself. And most men over 60 are missing at least one. Let's fix that starting now. You didn't miss a step. You didn't fall. You didn't skip a meal or change your habits. But somehow, your energy just isn't the same. It's not dramatic, just subtle. A little more time to get going in the morning. A little less drive in the afternoon. That quiet voice inside says, maybe this is just how aging feels. But is it? For most men over 60, what feels like a natural decline is often the result of 3 specific nutrient deficiencies. And it happens silently. Your blood vessels stop opening as efficiently. Your nerves don't fire quite as fast. Your red blood cells don't deliver oxygen with the same power. Nothing looks wrong on the outside, but inside, your body is adjusting to a slower rhythm, one it never asked for. More than 70% of men in their 60s report unexplained fatigue at least 3 times a week. But in most cases, it's not heart disease. It's not depression. It's not even aging. It's suboptimal levels of vitamins that regulate how you produce energy, oxygenate your brain, and regulate hormones. And because no one talks about these things until there's a crisis, most men slip quietly into a version of themselves they no longer recognize. Sometimes it shows up when you stop joining your wife for evening walks. Sometimes it's when you cancel that early breakfast with a friend because mornings feel harder now. Sometimes it's just a moment of stillness where you notice I don't feel like myself anymore. That feeling deserves attention, not panic, not medication, just a closer look. Because if you knew that one of the missing ingredients could be something as simple as 20 minutes of morning sun, or a vitamin you haven't checked since your last deployment, would you want to wait another year? Energy doesn't vanish overnight. It withdraws quietly until one day you wake up and wonder how long it's been gone. But it's not lost. Not yet. You still have time to rebuild, to give your body what it needs to carry you not just through the day, but through this next season of your life with strength and steadiness. So ask yourself, is this really aging, or is your body quietly waiting for you to notice what it's been missing all along? Every cell in your body depends on one quiet substance to perform its daily work. And yet by the time most men reach 65, the levels of that substance have dropped below optimal without a single warning sign. That substance is vitamin D. And if you haven't checked yours in the last 12 months, chances are it's not where it should be. Vitamin D isn't just for bones. It controls how your arteries expand, how your blood circulates, and how much oxygen your brain and muscles receive. When it drops too low, your body loses its rhythm. You feel it as stiffness in the morning, heaviness in the legs, cloudiness behind your eyes. You move slower, not because you're weak, but because your circulation has quietly changed. Over 60% of men past 60 show clinical deficiency in vitamin D during the winter months. That number rises above 70% in those who stay indoors, cover up, or live in northern states. And the impact: decreased nitric oxide production, tighter blood vessels, and slower blood delivery to your most vital systems, including your heart, your brain, and yes, the areas linked to intimacy. But here's the part that most men overlook, even if you're eating well, even if you feel okay. Vitamin D may still be running low. One patient of mine, a 72-year-old widower, was walking daily, drinking plenty of water and eating his vegetables, but he still felt exhausted by 10 a.m. After a simple test, we found his vitamin D levels were at half the minimum for vascular health, a daily supplement and some morning light later. He told me, "Doc, I didn't realize how tired I was until I wasn't anymore. The solution is simple, but requires intention. Get outside for 15 to 20 minutes in the early morning, roll up your sleeves, let the light touch your forearms and face. Eat more salmon, sardines, and eggs. Consider a D3 supplement, but only after you know your level. And if you're not doing it for yourself, think about who's watching. Maybe your wife, maybe your daughter, maybe a grandson who wants to walk beside you but doesn't understand why you're not quite up for it today." Sometimes strength isn't about lifting heavier. It's about staying open, literally. Open arteries, open breath, open spirit. So ask yourself, have I let the light in lately? Or have I mistaken my body's quiet request for something I was told to accept as just age? You walk into a room and forget why. You set something down and spend half the day retracing your steps. You feel mentally tired, not just from poor sleep, but from something deeper, harder to name. These moments don't always mean cognitive decline. Often, they signal something far more correctable. Vitamin B12 plays a silent but vital role in how your body sustains energy and preserves memory. It helps form red blood cells, fuels oxygen delivery to your brain, and supports the protective coating around your nerves. Without it, mental sharpness fades slowly, reaction time slows, words don't come as easily. And yet, the most common cause in older adults isn't disease, it's absorption. As we age, the stomach produces less intrinsic factor, a protein needed to absorb B12 from food. By age 70, nearly 1 in 3 adults has B12 levels below the threshold needed for optimal nerve and brain function, even if they're eating well. I've seen men who still walk 5 miles a day. Men who eat grilled chicken and leafy greens still show B12 deficiency. Not because they're neglecting their health, but because the body has changed how it receives nourishment. There was a retired school principal, 75, who came to see me. "I'm not forgetting names. Doc," he said, "I'm forgetting motivation." His wife had noticed his tone softening, his enthusiasm for small routines waning. His labs showed his B12 had fallen below the optimal range. We added a sublingual methylated supplement and monitored him weekly. Within a month, he was rising earlier, more talkative, and back to leading Sunday morning crossword groups at the library. The brain can't function well without fuel, and in older men, that fuel often runs low long before anyone notices. So how do you support B12? Lean meats? Chicken, turkey, eggs, and fish like salmon and clams are excellent sources. But if your absorption has changed, food alone may not be enough. A high-quality sublingual B12, or, in more severe cases, a doctor-guided injection may be necessary. This isn't about boosting IQ, it's about restoring clarity. That quiet confidence that you're still sharp, that your mind still belongs to you. Ask yourself this: are you losing interest because you're getting older, or because your brain is being quietly starved of the one vitamin it needs to stay alive? Alert and engaged. You don't have to settle for half light in your thinking, not when there's a switch waiting to be turned back on. There's a kind of strength that doesn't come from muscles. It's the steadiness behind your breath, the calm beneath your skin, the ability to respond not just physically, but emotionally to what life still offers. And often, when that inner steadiness begins to waver, something quiet has already gone missing: vitamin E. Vitamin E is an antioxidant. That's the clinical word. But in reality, it's more like a guardian. It protects your cells from oxidative stress, those tiny sparks of inflammation that build up as we age and slowly tighten our blood vessels, dull our circulation, and disrupt our hormones. When your vitamin E drops, you may not feel it all at once, but over time, stiffness shows up, energy fades after short walks, and confidence in your own body begins to shrink in ways that are hard to describe, even to those closest to you. In men over 60, declining vitamin E levels are associated with reduced testosterone sensitivity, poor vascular flexibility, and increased inflammatory markers in the blood. But more than numbers, it's the lived experience that matters. One man told me he no longer reached for his belt with the same energy. "I still care," he said. "I just don't feel as present anymore." We increased his intake of almonds, sunflower seeds, and olive oil. A few months later, the tone of his voice had returned. His gait changed. His eye contact held longer. That's not just nutrition, that's recovery of self. Vitamin E also plays a role in adrenal balance, the system that moderates how your body handles stress and recovers after emotional challenges. And when combined with vitamins D and B12, its effects on cardiovascular function become even more pronounced. Blood flow improves. Inflammation lowers. Hormonal rhythm finds its footing again. For women, especially postmenopausal, vitamin E supports vascular sensitivity and can reduce dryness and discomfort, often mistaken for emotional distance. In one patient, a widow in her early 70s, this small shift in nutrition brought relief she hadn't thought possible. "I thought that part of me was over," she told me, but it wasn't. It was just undernourished. The foods aren't exotic. They're often already in your pantry. A handful of nuts, a drizzle of olive oil, a side of spinach or chard. But the impact on circulation, mood, and connection can be quietly profound. So here's something worth asking. Is your body still trying to show up for life, but quietly losing its tools to do so? Vitamin E doesn't shout. It just restores. Softly, gradually, until one day, you realize you're standing taller, breathing easier, and feeling just a bit more like the man or woman you still remember being. A woman may not always say it out loud, but her body keeps the record. After menopause, even decades later, quiet shifts in chemistry ripple across nearly every system. Some are expected, like changes in bone density or body temperature, but others are far more private, a deep fatigue that lingers after rest, cravings that appear late at night, or a sense of disconnection from herself that she can't quite name. Estrogen decline doesn't just alter the reproductive system, it reshapes how calcium is absorbed, how serotonin is regulated, how blood vessels respond to pressure, and how glucose is handled during the evening hours. That's why so many women over 65 begin to experience late-day restlessness, joint sensitivity, sleep disruption, or emotional flatness even when nothing dramatic has changed in their lives. One woman in her early 70s came to me quietly embarrassed. "It's silly," she said. "I'm not sad, but I don't feel like me either. I'm craving sweets at night and waking up groggy. Is this just what aging feels like? We ran a panel. Her vitamin D and B12 were both below optimal. Her blood sugar was climbing slightly at night, and she hadn't had a deep, restful sleep in months. We made a few small changes: D3 with breakfast, B12 midday, fewer refined carbs after dinner. 3 weeks later, she called me and said something I won't forget. It didn't change my life. It just gave me mine back. Many older women live with a quiet sense of slipping away, not from others, but from themselves. And they rarely voice it, especially to their sons, husbands, or even daughters. It shows up in small ways: skipping the mirror, nodding silently during conversations, feeling invisible in rooms they once lit up. Physiologically, these feelings have roots. Bone turnover increases by over 50% after menopause without enough vitamin D. Glucose sensitivity drops. Melatonin rhythms shift. But none of these mean decline is inevitable. And sometimes it's the daughter who sees it first. A shift in her mother's tone. A new quietness during dinner. A different kind of tired behind her eyes. If you're watching this with someone you love or thinking of someone who used to smile more freely, know this nutrition isn't about vanity. It's about preserving the architecture of identity, the parts of a woman that still feel, still hope, still long to connect. So here's something worth asking gently, even silently: is the woman you love still being fed? In the ways she needs, or just the ways she's used to? A small bowl of berries in the morning. A calcium-rich green at lunch. A quiet glass of water with magnesium before bed. These are not cures, but they're kindnesses. And in many cases, they're enough to begin turning things around. It's tempting to treat each of these vitamins as separate tools: vitamin D for strength, B12 for clarity, vitamin E for circulation. But your body doesn't work in compartments. It works like a symphony. And when one instrument falters, the entire rhythm shifts. Vitamin D helps your blood vessels relax and stay open. That's where circulation begins. But circulation alone isn't enough. B12 ensures the red blood cells inside those vessels are healthy, carrying oxygen to the brain, muscles, and heart. Without it, even wide-open arteries can't deliver what they need. Then comes vitamin E, the stabilizer. It keeps the walls of those vessels smooth and elastic, and calms inflammation before it quietly turns to damage. When all three are present and balanced, the result isn't just better numbers, it's better living. One man in his late 60s said it best: "I didn't feel like I was getting younger. I just stopped feeling like I was disappearing." That shift from slipping to steady is what these nutrients offer when they work together. What's even more remarkable is how quickly the synergy shows itself. Studies show that seniors with normalized levels of all three experience up to 25% improved walking endurance after 6 weeks, 30% fewer complaints of fatigue, 40% improvement in balance and fall prevention scores within 2 months. But perhaps the most underappreciated benefit is emotional. When circulation improves and oxygen finally reaches where it's needed, especially the brain, something else happens. The return of presence. You stop floating through the day. Conversations feel more connected. You notice your own voice again, and the silence between your thoughts softens. For couples, this change can be quietly profound. I've seen husbands who'd grown withdrawn return to morning rituals with their spouses. Wives who had forgotten their laughter rediscover it over coffee, and adult children who'd grown worried slowly begin to exhale. Of course, no combination of vitamins replaces good sleep, light movement, or time spent with others. But without these nutrients, even the best habits struggle to take root. They're the soil, the foundation, and when it's enriched, everything else grows easier. So ask yourself gently, am I supporting my health like a checklist or like a living system? If something in you has felt scattered, disconnected, or strangely tired lately, maybe it's not just one thing. Maybe it's the quiet wear of multiple small imbalances finally asking to be heard. You don't need perfection, you need harmony. And that begins not with something radical, but with 3 small keys working together, right now, inside you. He was 80, thin and quiet, a retired mechanic from Ohio. When he first came in, he didn't complain. That generation rarely does. But there was something in the way he lowered himself into the chair, careful, as if his body had become something unpredictable. His daughter had brought him in. She'd recently moved back into the house to help. She told me, gently, he's just not himself. He'd started eating less, sleeping more, and brushing off the small joys he once cared about: his morning crossword, the back porch at sunset, even music from the radio he'd repaired decades ago. His labs told a story, but not the whole one. Yes, his vitamin D was low. His B12 had dipped. His inflammatory markers were climbing. But what struck me more was how he described his mornings. Feels like the day starts before I'm ready for it. That's often how fatigue sounds in men his age, quiet, unassuming. A slow withdrawal from the world. We started simple. 20 minutes of morning sun while his daughter made coffee. A small sublingual B12 after breakfast. A little olive oil and greens with dinner. Almonds before bed. Nothing radical. Just nutrients his body had quietly missed for years. 3 weeks later, his daughter sent a message. He shaved this morning and whistled. Now, that may not sound like much, but to her and to me, it meant everything. Because recovery at 80 rarely comes with fanfare. It arrives in subtleties, standing taller without realizing, answering questions with more than a shrug, remembering the punchline before the pause. This isn't about pretending age doesn't matter. It does. The body slows, the memory shifts. But what many don't realize is how much can return with the right support. Not youth, not perfection, but steadiness, clarity, warmth in the fingers and the face, the confidence to reach for the door before someone else opens it for you. Sometimes it's the adult child who notices the decline first, but sometimes it's the older man who starts to wonder, what else might still be available to me if I nourish this body like it still matters? And here's the part most people miss: aging isn't about surrendering. It's about adjusting. And if you're already in your 70s or even early 80s, these adjustments don't have to be drastic. They just have to be real. Your body hasn't forgotten how to respond. It just needs a reason to try again. You've made it this far, which tells me something important: you haven't given up. Not on your health, not on your energy, not on the parts of yourself that still want to feel alive. That quiet tiredness you've felt lately, it wasn't weakness. It wasn't just age. It may have been your body calling out, softly, for support it once had and quietly lost. These 3 vitamins, D, B12, and E, aren't just supplements. They're signals. They tell your blood vessels to stay open. They help your brain stay lit. They guard your sense of self when the world tries to blur the edges. And when they work together, something returns: warmth in your hands, steadiness in your step, even a sharper memory of who you used to be. I've seen it in older couples who rediscover their rhythm, in widowed women who sleep through the night for the first time in years, in quiet men who stand just a little taller at the breakfast table. And I've seen it in their children too, in the way they look at their parents with renewed trust, knowing that time isn't running out as fast as it once felt. If this made you reflect today, let someone else feel that too. Share it. Because the journey doesn't end here. Sometimes, what we need next isn't more strength, it's a small shift. A quiet solution that gently wakes up the body without force or pressure. In our next video, we'll explore a simple baking soda technique, one that many seniors overlook, but that can improve circulation, calm the nervous system, and help restore a sense of confidence in daily movement. It's gentle, it's natural, and it might be the missing link in helping you feel more in control of your body again. I'll meet you there when you're ready.